Good morning, all of you. Today we are going to discuss our unit number 2 of English. In this, we will first discuss the chapter. I'll give you a small introduction of the chapter first. Mridu is a young girl growing up in Madras, now called Chennai, with Tapi, her grandmother, and Tata, her grandfather. One afternoon, Tapi takes her to her aunt Rukumani's house to meet her cousin Lali Ravi and Meena. So this story is about Mridu, who is living with her grandfather and grandmother, and they decides to go to their aunt's house to meet her cousin, Lali, Ravi, and Meena. So we'll discuss what is the basic story here. I'll start the chapter. The name of the chapter is A Gift of Chappals. A smiling Rukumani threw open the door. Ravi and Meena rushed out, and Ravi pulled Mridu into the house. Wait, let me take off my sleepers, protested Mridu. She set them out neatly near a pair of large black ones, those who grey actually with dust. You could see the clear mark of every toe on the foot part of each sleeper. The marks for the two big toes were long and scrawny. Scrawny means thin. So when Mridu go to their aunt house, so Mridu goes to her aunt house to go meet her cousin there. Mridu didn't have much time to wonder about whose sleeper they were. So where she finds a pair of slipper which was in the veranda, which was worn out, which was not in a good condition. The marks of toes, fingers were Mridu was able to see there. It was very thin. Mridu didn't have much time to wonder about whose sleepers they were, because Ravi dragged her to the backyard behind a thick bitter berry bush. There, inside a torn football lined with shaggy and filled with sand, lay a very small kitten lapping up milk from a coconut half shell. So basically Ravi pulled Mridu inside the house, and then they both goes to the backyard of a house. There what they find? We found him inside the gate this morning. He was mewing and mewing, poor thing, said Meena. It's a secret. Amma says Pati will leave for our Padu Mama's house if she knows we have a cat. So basically what they find in the backyard, Mridu finds a cat was hiding there. And it is because of Ravi and Meena. People are always telling us to be kind to animals. They are discussing that people always do tell us that be kind to the animals, but when we are this thing, but when they do so, people refuses. Oh, don't bring that dirty creature here, said Ravi. Do you know how hard it is just to get a little milk from the kitchen? So Ravi is again saying Mridu that how difficult it is to bring a milk for the kitten. Pati saw me with the glasses in my hand just now. I told her I am very hungry. I want to drink it. But the way she looked at me, I had to drink most of it to throw her off the scent. When she wanted the tumbler back, Pati, I'll wash it myself. Why should I put you to trouble? I told her I had to run and pour the milk into the coconut shell and then run back and wash the tumbler and put it back before she get really suspicious. Now we have to think of some other way to feed Mahendran. So Mahendran here is a name of a cat. So actually Ravi is saying her that how difficult it is to get the milk for the kitten when his grandmother saw him doing so, bringing the milk for the kitten. In between she told her that Ravi told his grandmother that he was feeling very hungry, and that's why he drank most of the milk to prove his grandmother that he was actually feeling hungry. And he even washes the tumbler himself to prove that and to bring the milk for the kitten. He have to do so many things alone. Mahendra, this little kitten name is Mahendra. Mridu was impressed. It was a real name, not just a cute kitty name. Mahendran was the name of cat given by Ravi. As Mridu was impressed that the pet cat was not having cute kitty names like Tommy Shomi, but that was a real name, Mahendran. Actually, his full name is Mahendra Verma Pallava Punnai, MP Punnai for short, if you like. So again, Ravi says that it is not the full name. The full name is Mahendra Verma Pallava Punnai. In short, we can call it as MP Punnai. He is a fine breed of cat. Just look at his fur, like a lion's mane, and you know what the emblem of the ancient Pallava kings was, don't you? He looked expectantly at Mridu, hopefully at Mridu. He looked hopefully at Mridu and says that, do you know, this cat is somehow emblem of Pallava dynasty kings. Mridu giggled. Think I am joking? Well, just wait. I'll show you something. It's clear you don't know a thing about history. Haven't been to Mahabalipuram, have you? He said mysteriously. Well, when our class went to Mahabalipuram, I saw a statue of his Thathas, etc., etc. Fact is, Mahendra here is descended from that very same ancient Egypt cat, a close relative, significantly speaking, of none other than the lion, the Pallava lion, emblem of the Pallava dynasty. Ravi went on, walking around the bitter berry bush, waving a twig up and down, his eyes sparkling. This cat is a descendant of none other than the Mahabalipuram Rishi cat, and if I may just remind you, they worshipped cats in ancient Egypt. So Ravi is actually discussing about the cat, that where this cat belongs to. He is saying that this cat belongs to the ancient Egypt family of the cats, which were actually lions and which was worshipped in ancient Egypt in earlier times. How he loved the sound of his own voice. Meena and Mridu exchanged looks. What does they have to do with anything? Mridu demanded. Mridu says that what these all things have to do, means why these all things are necessary. I am telling you, this cat is descended from the Egyptian cat god, no, goddess, Beset. Yeah, that's it. So, well, one of the descendant of that cat goddess was a stowaway in one of the Pallava ship, and his descendant was the Mahabalipuram Rishi cat, whose descendant is Ravi flourished his twig at Mahendran. So here Mahendran was a cat who is descended from ancient Egypt cat god. These things are explained by Ravi to the Mridu. Very pleased with himself, Mahendran looked up, alarmed. He had just been sharpening his claws on the edge of the coconut shell, but worse than Ravi's awful whoop, "Eep!" was a screech from the window. What a weird sound! If Mridu was startled, MP Punnai was frightened out of his wit hairs. Standing on end, he bounced up and scurried towards a bamboo tray of chilies that had been set out to dry. Trying to hide beneath it, he tipped a few chilies over himself. Meow, he howled miserably. So, when they were discussing like that, there was a sound of screech which they all heard, and even Mridu got frightened and cat also got frightened. So, cat tries to hide himself under the tray of chilies which was beside them, and while doing so, cat flipped few chilies over himself, and the creaking went on and on. This type of screeching sound went on and on. What's that noise? Said Mridu. Mridu asked for that voice. That's Lali learning to play the violin. Get it, Ravi? Ravi told Mridu that she is Lali who is playing violin, learning violin. She'll never learn a thing. The music master just goes on playing like a train, whizzing on and on, while Ravi all the time derailing, going completely off track. So they are discussing that Lali is playing violin, but she will never learn it because music master is playing so well, but Lali is following him, but he is not playing in that good way. So this was the end of the first part. We'll discuss the short summary of the chapter again. So in the starting, Bridu goes to his her aunt house, where she finds her cousin Ravi, Lali, and Meena. Mridu also observed a pair of sleepers which were lying outside the house. Then Ravi pulled Mridu inside. They all discussed about the cat which they have found in front of their house and have kept in the backyard. Then after, there was a creak sound which actually was Lali who was playing violin after the music master. And here we are over with our first part. Now we will start our part 2 of this chapter, A Gift of Chappals. In this part we will know how this title came up, the gift of Chappals. So here is the part. Bridu crept up to the window. Lali was sitting a little distance away, awkwardly holding her violin and bowstring, her elbows jutting out and her eyes glazed with concentration. In front of her, with most of his back to the window, was the bony figure of the music master. He had a mostly black head with a fringe of oiled black hair falling around his ears and an old-fashioned tuft. A gold chain gleamed around his leathery neck and a diamond ring glittered on his hand as it glided up and down the stem of the violin. A large foot stuck out from beneath his gold border vasheti. Vasheti is known as dhoti edge, and he was beating time on the floor with a scrawny big toe. So here the description of the music master and Lali is given. When Mridu crept out from the window, when she looked inside the house from the window, she find that Lali was playing violin after the music master, and music master was sitting with his backside on the window, and he was wearing a dhoti, golden border dhoti, from which he was tapping his feet, and he was also wearing a chain in his leathery neck and a diamond ring in his finger. He was also having a fringe of oil. He was having less hair. He played a few notes. Lali stumbled behind him on her violin, which looked quite helpless and unhappy in her hands. What a difference! The music master's notes seemed to float up and settle perfectly into the invisible track of melody. It was like the wheels of a train fitting smoothly in the rails and whizzing along. As Ravi said, Mridu stared at that huge bearing hand moving effortlessly up the violin stem, making lovely music. So here Lali was not properly playing the violin, but music master was playing it so good that it seems like the train is completely on the track. Swag, there was Lali's derailing again. Amma, came a wail from the gate. Amma, oh. So the sound came next. Amma, Amma, this kind of sound they heard. Ravi, send the beggar away, cried his mother from the back veranda where she was chatting. So this voice was of his mother from the veranda. She told that send the beggar away. and there he was sitting in the veranda and chatting with grandmother. He has been coming here every day for the past week, and it's time he found another house to beg from, Pati explained to Tapi. So here they are discussing that this beggar is coming daily to their house and now he should go to the other's house. Mridu and Meena followed Ravi out. Ravi goes to say the beggar that go and don't come back, and Ravi and Meena follow. Ravi, Meena and Mridu, they all go together. The beggar was already in the garden making himself quite at home. He had spread his upper clothes under the neem tree and was leaning against his trunk, apparently prepared to take a little snooze while he awaited for the arms to appear. Go away, said Ravi sternly. My Pati says it's time you found another house to beg from. So beggar was completely comfortable here, and so beggar was comfortable there near in below the neem tree. He was waiting for any food or anything which he always tried to do so from their house. The beggar opened his eyes very wide and gazed at each of the children one by one. The ladies of this house, he said at last in a voice choked with feeling, are very kind souls. I have kept my body and soul together on their generosity for a whole week. I cannot believe that they would turn me away. He raised his voice, Amma, oh, said his wail might be, but it certainly wasn't fable. It begins in a deep, strong rumble somewhere in his withered belly and came booming out of his mouth with his fury-winning teeth, stained brown with metal chewing. Ravi, tell him there's nothing left in the kitchen, called Rukumani. And he's not to come again. Tell him that. She shouted, sounded fed up. Ravi didn't have to repeat it all to the beggar. What his mother said had been easy for them all to hear. There under the neem tree, the beggar sat up and sighed. Now, Rukumani told Ravi to say the beggar that there was nothing left in the house to give him now, and they all planned to let him out of the home. Then, I'll go, he said wearily. Only let me have a rest under this tree. The sun is too hot. The tar has melted on the road. My feet are already blistered. So beggar is requesting them to that please he can rest it here. And even the tar is melted on the road. The sun is very hot, and he is also having blisters on his feet. He stretched out his feet to show large pink blisters on the soles of his bare feet. I suppose he doesn't have the money to buy chappals, Mridu whispered to Meena Ravi. Have you got an old pair in the house somewhere? So Mridu, when she looked at those blisters, they are discussing that maybe he is not having money to buy the chappals. So she asked Ravi that is there any pair of old slippers in the house? I don't know, said Ravi. Meena, mine are too small to fit his feet, or I would have given them to him. Ravi is saying that mine chappals are very small, otherwise I have given it to him, and his feet were larger than Mridu and Meena's, and Ravi was having the largest foot between in them three. So of course Meena, Mridu and Meena's feet were small, so their chappals cannot fit the beggar's feet. The beggar was shaking out his upper clothes and tightening his dhoti. He raised his eye and looked fearfully at the road gleaming in the afternoon heat. So road was shining, and he looked at that road fearfully, means he was scared of that. He needs something on his feet. Meena said, his big eyes feeling it's not fair. So Meena says that he must need something to walk on that road. Shh, said Ravi. I'm not thinking about it. Blubbering, it's not fair, isn't going to help. Ravi is saying that it's not fair. This kind of words, this kind of sentence are not going to help him. In 2 minutes, he will be frying his feet on the road. In just 2 minutes, he will fry his feet on the road. What he need is a pair of chappals. So, where do we get them? So, they all discussed that, and finally, they found that they need a pair of chappal. And where to find them? Come, let's search the house. He pushed Mridu and Meena into the house. So, Ravi, Meena, and Mridu finally searched the sleepers at the house. Just as she stepped into the veranda, Mridu's eyes fell on the old looking chappal she had noticed when she arrived. Ravi, she whispered to him, whose are those? So, the thing which we have discussed in the starting of the chapter, that when Mridu was coming inside the house, she observed a pair of slippers was lying, which were worn out, means which were not in a good condition, and even the prints of fingers and thumb was easily seen on those. Ravi turned around, glanced at the savvy looking but sturdy old sleepers. He beamed and nodded, these are just the right size. So when they saw that sleepers, Ravi says that these are the perfect size. He said, picking them up. Mridu and Meena followed him nervously back into the garden. They both followed the Ravi. Here, said Ravi to the beggar, dropping the sleepers in front of the old man. So Ravi had finally drops the chappal after the beggar. Wear this and don't come back, and says that wear this and do not come back. The beggar stared at the sleepers hurriedly, flung his towel over his shoulder, pushed his feet into them and left, muttering a blessing to the children. In a minute he had vanished around the corner of the street. So when Ravi put that chappal in front of the beggar in hurry put the towel on his shoulder and blessed the child as fast as possible. He wore those chappals and then he left the street. The music master came out. The music master came out of the house and looked up unappreciative look at the three of them. So at that time, after 5 minutes, just music master came out of the room. Unappreciatively, he was looking at those three faces of the children, sitting quietly under the tree, playing marbles. Then he searched for his chappals in the veranda where he had put them. So and finally, those chappals belongs to the music master, and he searched for them. Lali, he called Lali. After a few moments, she hurried up to him. Have you seen my chappals, my dear? I remember having kept them here. So music master is asking Lali that she has observed that sleepers outside the room. I remember having kept them here. Ravi, Mridu and Meena silently watched Lali and the music master searched every corner of the veranda. He scurried around, looking around the railing and crouching near the flower pots to look between them. Brand new they were. I went all the way to Mount Road to buy them. He went on saying they cost a whole month's fee. Do you know? So music master and Lali are discussing that. Music master is saying that those chappals were very costly. He had to go to the way to Mount Road to buy those, and those were actually very costly, as costly as the fee of a whole month. Soon Lali went in to tell her mother. Rukumani appeared looking harassed with Pati following her. So when Lali goes to tell his mother, suddenly the mother and her grandmother both came. Suddenly, where could they be? It's really quite upsetting to think someone might have stolen them. So many vendors came to the door, worried Pati. So grandmother says that many vendors, beggars, and some vendors who sell things that are known as vendors, they come to their place to sell their goods. So maybe they have stolen it. Pati is discussing like that. Rukumani caught sight of Ravi, Mridu and Meena sitting under the tree. Then suddenly Rukumani observed the three children sitting there under the tree and playing marble. Have you children? She begins. and then, seeing they were curiously quiet, went on more slowly. So she started saying that, have you children? But she suddenly turned it lower is her voice. Seen anyone lurking around the veranda? Yeah, Rukumani says that, have you seen anyone roaming here and there near our house in veranda? Some kind of beggar or some vendor maybe. A sharp V-shaped line has formed between her eyebrows. Another straight, tighter one appeared in place of her usually soft, unpleasant mouth. Rukumani was angry. Thought Mridu was shivered. She wouldn't be so upset if she knew about the poor beggar with shores on his feet. She tried to tell herself. So Mridu is telling herself that Rukumani will never be angry if we have seen those blisters on those blisters on the feet of that beggar. Taking a deep breath, she cried, Rukumani, there was a beggar here, poor thing. He had such boils on his feet. So suddenly she cannot keep himself quiet and she shouted like, there was a beggar and he was having a blisters on his feet. So, said Rukumani grimly, turning up Ravi, you gave the music master's chappal to that old beggar who turns up here. Then Rukumani gets angry and says that you have given those chappals to the beggar. Children these days, groaned Pati. Amma, didn't you tell me about Karna who gave away everything he had, even his gold earrings? He was so kind and generous. So then, Rukumani, Ravi gives the example of a Karna which his mother earlier used to do to him. That Karna who gave everything to the people needed, even his gold earrings. So, but my chappals, silly, snapped Rukumani. Karna didn't give away other people's things, he only gave away his own. Rukumani saying that Karna was not giving any other's property to the someone, he was giving his own property to the others. But my chappals wouldn't have fitted the beggar's feet. And Ravi is saying that my chappals are smaller and wouldn't have fit to the beggar's feet. Ravi rushed brashly on, and Amma, if they did fit, would you really not have minded? And he is saying that if I had given my chappal to the beggar, have you minded? You wouldn't have minded. Ravi said, Rukumani, very angry now. Go inside this minute. She hurried indoor and brought out Gopu Mama's hardly worn new chappals. These should fit you, sir. Please put this on. I am so sorry. My son has been very naughty. The music master's eye lit up. He put them on, trying not to look too happy. So they all are discussing about the beggar and the chappals which the children have given to the beggar. At last, music master was not having any chappal, so Rukumani decided to give the Gopu Mama's chappal to the music master and get angry on the children. Then music master leave, and music master didn't look happy wearing those chappals. When he had clattered off in his new chappals, he said, Mridu, come in and have some tiffin. Honestly, how do you children think of such things? Thank God your Gopu Mama doesn't wear chappals to work. As she walked toward the kitchen with Nidu and Meena, she suddenly began to laugh. But he is always in such a hurry to throw off his shoes and socks and get into his chappals as soon as he comes home. What's your mama going to say this evening? When I tell him I gave his chappals to the music master. This story is written by Vasantha Surya from the story Mridu in Madras. So in this, at last, Rukumani started laughing. When suddenly she was asked that why she was laughing, she said that Gopu Mama is having a habit of wearing chappals just after the work. When he came home, he remove his shoes and socks and then suddenly jumps into the chappals. So what will he do now if he will find that I have I have given his chappals to the music master. Now we will discuss the Unit 2 poem. The name of the poem is The Rebel. Now we will discuss the poem. The name of the poem is The Rebel. So we all are familiar with the word rebel. Rebel means a person who refuses to obey people's or other things or any other things which we are doing, and the other person who is next to us is not accepted it, but he is refusing to do the same things. That is known as a rebel. Now, rebel will read the poem and I am going to explain it to you. When everybody has short hair, the rebel lets his hair grow long. Means when everybody is having a short hair, rebel is doing the opposite. When everybody has a long hair, the rebel cut his hair short. Again it is opposite. When everybody has a long hair, he is having short hair. When everybody talks during the lesson, the rebel doesn't say a word. When everybody talks during the lesson, the rebel creates a disturbance. When everybody wear a uniform, the rebel dresses in fantastic clothes. When everybody wears fantastic clothes, the rebel dresses soberly. So when everybody talks during the lesson, the rebel studies. When everybody studies, the rebel disturbs. When everybody wears a uniform, the rebel do the opposite. He wears the fantastic clothes. When everybody wears fantastic clothes, then rebel dresses soberly in a perfect uniform. In a company of a dog lovers, the rebel expresses a preference for cats. So if people will choose dog, the rebel will choose cat. In the company of a cat lover, the rebel puts in a good words for a dog. So in the company of dog lover, rebel have cats, and in company of cat lovers, rebel do the opposite. So he is having a cats. When everybody is praising the sun, the rebel remarks on the need for rain. So when everybody wants sun, rebel wants rain. When everybody is greeting the rain, the rebel regrets the absence of sun. When everybody wants rain, then rebel wants the sun. When everybody goes to the meeting, the rebel stays at home and reads a book. When everybody stays at home and reads a book, the rebel goes to the meeting. So he is doing opposite. When everybody goes to meeting, he remains at home, and when everybody is at home, he goes to the meeting. When everybody says yes please, the rebel says no thank you. When everybody says yes, rebel says no thank you. When everybody says no thank you, the rebel says yes please. So he is always opposite of everything. At last, it is very good that we have rebels. You may not find it very good to be one. So explanation for is that rebel is good if it is in us. Means if we have rebel, it is good. But if we will become rebel, then it is not good for us. As for example, rebel is a kind of a feeling. It should be in us for the good reason. If somebody is doing the wrong thing, we can improve that. We can suggest him to do the good things. But if we are rebel, then we will start opposing everything, whether it is good or bad. So the thing is clear that we should not oppose the good things, but we should follow the good things. Thank you.